It was one of those quiet nights in Maplewood, a small suburban neighborhood where the houses were close enough to feel connected but far enough to keep secrets. My name is Lily Carter, a 26-year-old teacher who had just moved back into my family home after years of living alone in the city. The house was familiar, the squeaky floorboard near the kitchen, the creaky door to my room, but everything else had changed. Mom had remarried a kind man named Daniel a few years ago, and his son, Ethan, now lived with us too. Ethan was 23, studying mechanical engineering at a nearby university. We weren't related by blood, but we treated each other like family. We had an easy friendship, casual jokes over breakfast, shared late-night TV shows, and sometimes long talks about life when neither of us could sleep. That particular night, a thunderstorm rolled through town. I had gone to bed early after grading a stack of essays. My window rattled slightly with every gust of wind, and the sound of rain felt like a lullaby. I had almost drifted off when I heard a soft knock on my door. "Lily," a voice whispered. It was Ethan. I sat up, slightly alarmed. "Yeah, what's wrong?" The door creaked open, and Ethan stepped inside, his expression uneasy. "Sorry, I didn't mean to wake you. The storm knocked the power out, and I can't find the flashlight. Thought I heard something outside too." I smiled softly, relieved. "You scared me for a second. The flashlight's in the kitchen drawer, second one from the top." "I checked there," he said, holding up his phone's dim light. "It's dead too." I grabbed my own phone and got up. "Let's check together." We walked downstairs, the house completely dark except for flashes of lightning through the windows. Each thunderclap seemed to shake the walls, and I could feel my heart race. When we reached the living room, Ethan pointed toward the window. "Did you see that?" I looked. A dark shape moved outside. "Probably just the wind," I said quickly, though my voice betrayed uncertainty. Ethan stepped forward cautiously, peeking through the curtain. "No, someone's out there." My breath caught. "What do we do?" he whispered. "Stay here. I'll go check." I grabbed his arm instinctively. "No, don't go alone." He hesitated, then nodded. "Okay, we'll both go." We stepped onto the porch together. The rain had slowed to a drizzle, and in the faint streetlight, we could see wet footprints leading from the sidewalk to the side gate. Ethan turned on his phone flashlight, and we followed them slowly. My mind raced through every possibility: a neighbor, a stray animal, a delivery gone wrong. Behind the fence, a faint whimper caught our attention. Ethan pointed the light toward it, and we both gasped. A small dog was curled up near the trash cans, soaked to the bone and shivering. "Oh no," I whispered, rushing forward. "Hey, it's okay." The little dog backed away at first but then looked at me with wide, pleading eyes. Ethan knelt beside me. "He's freezing." Without hesitation, I scooped the dog into my arms. "Let's get him inside." We dried him off with old towels and wrapped him in a blanket. He was wearing a collar, but the tag was too rusted to read. "Poor guy," Ethan said softly. "He must have been lost in the storm." That night, the three of us stayed in the living room, huddled near the fireplace after the power came back. The dog finally stopped trembling and fell asleep between us. "Guess we're keeping him until we find his owner," I said with a smile. "Or until he decides he wants to stay," Ethan replied. Something about that line made me smile wider. Maybe because in that moment, sitting in the flickering firelight, wrapped in quiet safety, it felt like family wasn't just about who you were born to, but who you cared enough to protect. Over the next few days, we did everything to find the dog's owner: posters, local shelter calls, even a post on community social media. No one came forward. Slowly, the dog, who we named Buddy, became part of the house. Ethan and I would take turns feeding him, walking him, and laughing over his little quirks, like how he barked at the vacuum or chased reflections on the wall. And in those shared moments, I started realizing how much Ethan had changed. He was no longer just the quiet guy who tinkered with machines in the garage. He was thoughtful, funny, gentle. There was something about the way he listened, how he cared about small things, like making sure Mom's plants were watered or leaving an extra cup of coffee for me on the counter before work. Weeks passed, and one evening, I came home exhausted after a long day. The lights were off, and for a second, I thought the house was empty, until I saw Ethan in the kitchen, putting up a new handmade dog bed. "Surprise," he said, grinning. "Made it from old fabric and some foam I found in the shed." I blinked, touched. "You made that?" He shrugged. "Buddy deserved something comfortable." I laughed, shaking my head. "You're unbelievable." That night, after dinner, Mom and Daniel went out to visit neighbors. I sat on the couch reading, Buddy asleep at my feet. Ethan came in quietly, holding 2 mugs of cocoa. "Peace offering," he said. "For always making me do the dishes." I smiled. "Accepted." We sat together, sipping cocoa while the rain pattered softly outside. The house was warm, cozy, alive. Then suddenly, crash, the sound of glass breaking from upstairs. Buddy jumped, barking. Ethan was on his feet instantly. "Stay here." "No way," I said, following him up the stairs. My heart pounded. The hallway was dark, but we could see a faint glow from my bedroom window, the one I had left slightly open earlier. When we entered, the curtain was blowing wildly, and shards of glass lay scattered on the floor. "What the?" Ethan stepped closer and pointed. "A branch." The wind knocked it through the window. Relief flooded through me. I laughed shakily. I thought it was another storm visitor. Ethan smiled and turned to me, and for a brief second, we both realized how close we were standing. The silence wasn't awkward. It was warm, safe, familiar. He finally said, "You know, it's weird. That night you thought I scared you, but maybe it happened for a reason. If I hadn't walked in, we never would have found Buddy." I nodded, smiling softly. "Yeah, maybe some surprises are just meant to lead us to something good." From then on, life at home was different, lighter, warmer. Ethan and I became closer friends, sharing little moments that filled the house with laughter. Mom often joked that Buddy had brought more love into the house than any of us expected. And maybe she was right. Because sometimes, the most surprising things don't happen to you, they happen for you. When I think about that night now, the storm, the fear, the knock on my door, I don't remember being scared. I remember that someone cared enough to check if I was okay. And that small act changed everything.